Order, order. Grahame Morris to move the motion.
Thank you, Dr Hook, and it's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship, and I'd like to move that this House considers the future of the coach industry. I also want to record my thanks to the Backbench Business Committee and my good and honourable friend, the member for Gateshead and his team, for allocating time for this important debate. I also want to thank my own trade union, Unite the Union, for providing background information and briefing, but I particularly want to thank my constituents, Gillian Nicholson and Michael Pearson of T&M Coach Travel and North East Coachways. The coach industry, Dr Hook, could not have two better advocates, and for 9 months they have asked for nothing more than fairness and justice, a chance to survive COVID, so that they and other small and medium-sized coach companies, often decades-old family businesses, can return to work post-COVID. The industry have a simple message to government, and it's been delivered thousands of times in postcards from the edge, and it reads, "Wish you could hear." We are running out of time. The government is running out of time to listen and act. Coach operators are already going bust. Employees, drivers and mechanics are being made redundant, and the sector is losing capacity. Capacity that will be vital not just to the recovery of the coach industry, but to the whole economy and to thousands, if not potentially millions of jobs supported by UK leisure and tourism. Coach companies are, Dr Hook, the backbone, the supply chain for UK leisure and tourism. According to the Confederation of Passenger Transport, over 23 million visits were made by coach in 2019, contributing £14 million to the UK tourism economy. The sector has over 2,500 coach operators, directly employing some 42,000 people. And of course then there's the ripple effect. Vehicle maintenance and the upkeep supports an army of mechanics and garages involved in servicing and repairing of the vehicles. The argument today is a simple one. The government should stand by British businesses, companies that support our economy and do the right thing. The most responsible coach companies have invested in the newest clean fleets, our economy, and are implementing the government's zero carbon climate change policy. However, they ironically are facing the greatest loss, having to manage higher debt levels at a time when they have no income and the industry is shut down. And it's not a crisis of their own making. I'm sure every member in here, and it is worthy of note, Dr Hook, the number of members of Parliament in here who are concerned about this issue, and in fact several who were hoping to speak unfortunately have had to leave because of the delays to the votes and are speaking in the main chamber. But this is an important issue and it affects every constituency. I'll give way to the honourable member from...
Give way, Madam Chair, and I explained to him that I'd put my name for this here and unfortunately wasn't called, but I just want to have it on the record. Is the honourable gentleman aware that in Northern Ireland the Department of Enterprise and Trade and Industry had a bespoke package of grants of £8,000 to be paid for the first bus, £4,450 for the second one, up to a total of £100,000, and that underlines the importance that the Northern Ireland Assembly has for the bus sector, for Giles Tours, for Billy Browns and for others in my constituency. Does he feel that that might be an example for the Minister perhaps to replicate for here as they've done in Northern Ireland?
I'm grateful for that intervention, and indeed I believe there is specific support in Scotland and in Wales as well. And you know, what we're calling upon here is for the Minister to act and provide some sector-specific support to the coach industry in England. We're not asking particularly for special treatment. What we're asking for is parity and an equal chance for this sector to survive, with the support that recognises the specific impact that COVID has had on their business and on the sector. The coach sector was the first hit, hardest hit, and will be the last to recover. The fall in demand and income has been absolutely catastrophic, in excess of 90%, And unlike some other industries that have had the opportunity to diversify or even continue operation during COVID, the coach industry has experienced a near total shutdown. Even if venues were open, such as concert venues, shows, sporting events, even if holidays were still taking place, the social distancing requirements would make such coach trips unviable. When the industry needs support, the government excluded coach companies from the rates relief support by failing to recognise them as part of tourism, leisure, hospitality or essential travel. I expect many in the industry would agree with Jade Cooper-Greaves of Henry Cooper Associates in Antisford. When she was interviewed by the BBC, she said, "I've never taken a job, I've never written a job down in my diary that wouldn't be classed as tourism, leisure, hospitality or essential travel." The lack of sector-specific support is crippling, and the government sadly is failing to recognise the scale of the crisis. In a letter on the 23rd of November, the minister responsible, who sits in the other place, said, and I quote, "We continue to work closely with representatives from the coach sector, including the Confederation of Passenger Transport, and with other government departments to understand the ongoing specific and unique risks and issues the sector faces and how these could be addressed." Well, there are many and obvious risks and challenges facing the sector. It's not true that the sector have had support. Certainly they've had the furlough scheme, and that assisted with the employees, with the drivers and so on, and this was welcome. But it didn't help operators with ongoing business costs, with loan payments or vehicle leasing fees. And the coronavirus business loan interruption scheme failed the industry, with the majority, 80%, unable to access this support. Now let's look at some other sectors. Arts, culture and heritage received £1.57 billion. I'm not against that. I'm simply pointing out the inconsistency. Bus and trams bailout, 700 million. Rail, 4.5 million, actually more than that when we take into account the emergency measures. The voluntary and charitable sector, 750 million. Eat Out to Help Out, estimated 500 million. The sports bailout for rugby union, horse racing, women's football and the low tiers of the National League football, 300 million. Now, the Chancellor said he didn't want to pick winners and losers, but that's precisely what the government are doing by offering sector-specific support to some and not to others. And let me be clear, Dr Hook, I don't begrudge any of those sectors I've mentioned the support that the government has given. But there's no transparency as to why some sectors are favoured and others ignored. Sports are struggling without crowds. However, it's the coach sector which transport these crowds. Arts, heritage and culture, hard-pressed though they are, have had some retail opportunities during COVID, and in some cases, with restrictions, are able to open now in certain areas. Eat Out to Help Out, an untargeted scheme that benefited large chains with large floor space that could accommodate more customers. Again, support targeted businesses that were able to continue trading through COVID, perhaps via takeaways or with limited capacity. We must question the value of these bailouts, particularly those to the bus operators who have received 700 million. As public subsidised companies, it would be reasonable to expect them to understand the plight of the coach sector. Instead, many of these companies are taking the last remaining contracts, often travel to school contracts from the coach companies. And I'm aware that subsidised bus operators in my own region are undercutting coach companies on already undervalued home-to-school transport contracts. I have coach operators renting vehicles from Arriva Bus and Coach Division. They were refused a rent holiday when they asked, even though they had no business. They were forced to return the coaches, unable to make to maintain payments of up to £20,000 a month, having no work and now having been hit with early termination fees of £80,000. You know, I must ask the Minister, is this fair? If the Minister can't grasp the scale of the challenge after 9 months, I must question their interest or competence in the matter, with all due respect. And I challenge the Minister. Without urgent support, the industry is warning 4 in 10 companies could go bust, with a loss of 27,000 jobs, not counting those in the supply chain and the service sector that rely upon the coach industry. We risk losing companies of good standing, and coach operators risk losing their homes due to the personal guarantees they have on their vehicles. We cannot abandon good businesses that invest in our economy. The government must explain why they're excluding coach companies from sector-specific support that it has provided to other sectors. Thank you.